1 second. I'm just waiting for the notification. One second, Sister Tracy is loading now. Okay, and we are live here with a great guest, someone who I'm very honored to have on today in our midday special edition of Off the Record with Sister Tracy Muhammad. My sister Mimi says, ASA, Walaikum Salam family. Sister Tracy, first of all, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come in and let us have a conversation with you about the history of the sisterhood and just to give us a viewpoint of being a woman in the nation and being in Baltimore, a perspective that we really would love to have. So, assalamu alaikum, Sister Tracy.
Walaikum salam, praise be to Allah. I want to just say thank you to you for asking me. And I just want to let you know that I am so nervous because I love I love listening to your interviews and I love to hear other people's perspectives. So I'm nervous and I pray to Allah that whatever it is that we get to share in this moment, that it'll be beneficial and that my genuine side will show through. So I just wanted to say thank you, Brother Joshua, for this opportunity.
No problem. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Walaikum salam, Brother Damien, and walaikum salam, Sister Naima. Yes, ma'am, Sister Tracy. First of all, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Farrakhan?
Okay, so I heard it vicariously through my brother Fontaine, since the age of 14. He was quite obnoxiously in love with these teachings to the point where it was annoying. Like he loved these teachings so much, and we saw the change in him so much that all he talked about was the teachings. And like he lived it, he loved it, he walked it, he talked it. Everything was about what he learned. Brother Fontaine is my blood brother. We're 5 years apart. And from the age of 14, like that's all he knew. Like that's all he knew. Once he heard it, he became intoxicated with this truth. And that's all he knew. And that's all he told us. So he would invite us to the mosque and I'd be like, oh, do I have to cover my head? Nope, I ain't going. Gotta stop eating this bacon? Nope, not going. Can't have fat back no more? Nah, I ain't going. What about my boyfriend? Nope, I ain't going. Can't hang out? Nah, I'm not going. It was every reason of why I wasn't gonna go. I hadn't actually heard the minister or read any of the books because in my opinion at that time, it was just annoying. Like all he ever talked about from the moment he heard it was those teachings. It was as if he forgot about everything else but those teachings. And so in my young teenage self, that was annoying. So how I could annoy him and get under his skin was to deny hearing about those doggone teachings. But it was when I became pregnant at 15 that my brother was my greatest support system. And with all those teachings that he had, he could have condemned me. Like out of all the people that I was afraid to tell that I was pregnant, it was him. Because I loved him so much that I didn't want to disappoint him. When my mom died, and our mom died rather, and our father left as a result, because he couldn't handle the pain and the pressure of it all, it was Brother Fontaine and my younger brother, and we lived with our grandmother and all our cousins and aunts. So Fontaine was like, even though he was only 5 years older, he was like our dad. And so of all the people that I was disappointed in telling that I was pregnant at 15, it was fine. But he didn't condemn me, he didn't shun me. He supported me and he protected me, and he told me about how to give birth to a God and what the minister said, and he would make sure I got to my appointments, and he would make sure that I had fruit, and he would make sure that I had healthy stuff, and he would deter me from listening to the ratchet music and doing all the things that everybody else was really trying to help me to give birth to something greater than what we had experienced. And because of his example with me, my quote unquote payment to him was once I had the baby was to go to the mosque, because I had been pushing him off for like 2 years at that point. So I was going to pay him back by coming to the mosque. And when I came to my first mosque meeting, I was 16 at the time and my son was 2 months old. And Brother Jamil, your uncle, was teaching. Yes, and he was teaching the true meaning of Christmas. And growing up, we had a grandmother that took us into all these different faith bases. Like we studied with everybody. My grandmother was a firm believer that in God's house, there were many mansions. And though we grew up Christian, she had us studying under everybody. So like when Christmas time came, she wasn't a traditional Christian grandma. Like we couldn't get a tree. and she wouldn't allow us to have a tree because Jeremiah said.
Yes,
And we
ma'am.
just hated that. Like, what do you mean, Jeremiah said? Like, you sending us to church, and that church, they got the biggest, fluffiest tree with presents and adornments, and she was just put about what Jeremiah, like, don't. And we didn't know who the hell Jeremiah was. My grandma was serious for eating somebody came and knocked on the door, even though we didn't have anything. And even though we were crammed in our house, like my grandmother was the type to allow anybody to come in and stay with us. So in our minds, we thought Jeremiah was one of many homeless people that she didn't just met and allowed to come in our house. She didn't say Jeremiah was the book of the Bible. And it wasn't until she and I both came to the mosque, my first time coming, when Brother Jamil was teaching, and he was talking about the book of Jeremiah. And how it talks about, do not be like the heathen who goes up into the forest and chop it down the tree and tinsel it with silver and gold. And I'm like, hold up now, like this is the Jeremiah Mama was telling us about. And at the end of that beautiful teaching, your uncle tore it up so well that he, they asked the traditional 3 questions: how many believe, and how many want to do all that good stuff that we ask at the end of the meeting, how many believe is good and beneficial for our people. But at the end, he said, I don't want you to believe anything I said today. I want you to go home and do the research for yourself. And I was like, wow, this so satisfied my curiosity for nosiness. Like all my life I've been nosy. Like this was satisfied my nosiness, like in a good way.
Yes,
And it just like really intrigued me to want to go and do the research for myself to find out more. Studying Islam at that age started having me connect the dots to all of what my grandmother tried to teach us just in her example. Because these ways of life are just that, they're ways of life. Like we're not Muslim just because we say Assalamu alaikum.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We're Muslims based on how we live this deen. My grandmother wasn't a Christian just because her Bible was so worn out, because she was so worn out that she read it so much that she could just live it and say certain things. Like she was that because that's what she really strived to live to be. So I'm not sure if I actually answered that question, but to circle it back, I started hearing these teachings at 14. I really didn't start taking a bite of these teachings until I was 16. And I didn't become registered until I became 17 because I wanted to straddle that fence just a little bit more. So it took me a whole year before I actually said, yeah, I'm really ready.
Praise be to Allah. And I want to thank you for your great answer and your transparency. Thank you all for watching this special edition of Off the Record with Sister Tracy Muhammad. Now, Sister Tracy, you said your blood brothers, Brother Fontaine. How has your all's relationship sustained all these years when he was the one who introduced you to the teachings? And how is it having a brother who's so popular in real life and on Facebook now? And how is that?
So, like I said, when we were young, it was annoying. It was really annoying because, like growing up, because we lost our mom so young, it was he, myself, and my younger brother. Like we were tight. Like we had that close bond of losing both of our parents, one by death and one by circumstance. So we were tight. And then once he came into the nation and he had this whole other brotherhood, it was like, hold up, you forgetting about us. But he so loved this way of life. Like he loved it. So it was like a blessing and a curse. Like I'll tell you, he was the one who went with me when I was in labor. And when he took me to the hospital to deliver my son, like Brother Fontaine was so ridiculous. They told me that I hadn't dilated enough and I needed to walk. So this joker took me to Morgan's homecoming because that's where the brothers were going to be soldiering the final call. This joker took me up on call out with him and the brothers and introducing me to brothers as if I wanted to be contracting and me brothers. Like it was ridiculous. But it was like in that ridiculous moment that I really knew that he loved this way of life, and it really made me love him even more because he was willing to make all the sacrifices to be with me, his blood sister, and be with his brothers by faith. And it just fortified something in me because when my contractions got heavy, like he kept in between his bundles coming, how you doing, baby sis? Are you okay? You ready to go back to the hospital? I'm like, I don't think I've contracted enough and I don't feel like sitting in the hospital. Like it was just exciting to see him in his element. As far as sharing him with the nation, like I love sharing him with the nation. I just wish that he could find a balance to share some of that nation with himself, because when you really love doing what you do it at the point of really knowing that my prayers, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, and that's true. But too often we forget that there is balance in everything.
Yes, ma'am.
And if we don't struggle for the balance to, yes, please mean that and be sincere in meaning that. But if all our children see is us away from what, away doing what you love and that's benefiting everybody else, but we're so drained and so gone so long that we don't have the time to bring that balance back at home, what we accidentally do is send our children out into the very streets around those people that we're seeking to save.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I love the fact that he's busy and all of that. But every time we talk, I remind him of the first scripture that he gave me, which was Surah 29.
Mm, mm, mm.
That study guide of struggling for balance, because we have to have balance. Like, you can't kill yourself. We're no benefit to anybody if we kill ourselves. And then will we die for the cause? Absolutely, with no questions asked. But why kill ourselves? Because that wasn't the purpose of the cause.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, we can't shine light in the darkness if we killing our own selves and we're dimming our own light because we're so overwhelmed, overworked, and overburdened. So yeah, I love that he's in love with these teachings. But he served an example for me to make sure that I'm actually like refilling my cup
Mm,
and
mm.
refueling my cup, because the stresses of this work, the stresses of this life, it's a way of life. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yes, ma'am.
And if
Yes.
you don't be fueled just like in a marathon, if you're not taking the necessary breaks, if you're not taking those necessary foods and vitamins and minerals, like, you will literally kill yourself and you
Mm.
won't even make it to the finish line. Like, you'll die along the way. And people will trample over you, trample over your memory. Like, you got to be able to give yourself what you need in order to make it to the
Yes.
finish line. And now finish line is not there until Allah says, you know, thou good and faithful servant, your time is up.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Wonderful teaching, and thank you all for watching. I want to just read to you some of the comments. My sister Naima says that's love. Sister Mimi says that's beautiful. Sister Marquita says beautiful. Sister Marquita said, wow, this is real. Sister Naima said good teachings. Yes, ma'am. Sister Mimi says, so many of us forget about the balance. Yes, ma'am. Sister Latasha, yes, ma'am. Brother Dorsey, alhamdulillah. And Sister Marquisha says, great point. There's a difference between dying and killing ourselves for this. Wonderful. Sister Tracy, could you please explain to us, first of all, well, who were some of the people that trained you, and what was the climate like when you first came in the mosque, as far as on the sister side in Baltimore?
Okay, so my first mock meeting when I first came at 16 with my 2-month-old baby, we were like a bag of our mosques. We were at this place, that place, every kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
But the first 3 sisters that checked me was Sister Clarissa, Sister Farah, and Sister Sherry. And they were so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if they were just that beautiful simply because they loved my brother and they knew my brother loved this work. But over time, like, even in that moment, they were just beautiful. And I don't think they gave me any preferential treatment, but I felt preferred.
Mm-hmm.
And that left an indelible impression in my soul, because that check post, as Sister Captain Shanasia said, like, the check post is the best post. You're
Mm-hmm.
not just physically checking, you're emotionally checking, you're spiritually checking. And if you don't have the spirit or the energy to be in that space, like, you shouldn't even be in that space. And
Mm-hmm.
so those sisters greeted me and they loved up on me. They loved up on my baby. Like, they didn't treat me like, oh, here comes the statistic walking in, this teenage mom. Like, no, they treated me with love. Like, it was the most beautiful thing. Once I really took hold of these teachings and really started biting and actually digesting it, the training, like, I registered, I recited. It was actually Savior's Day of 1990 that really made me like push me over the edge. Because I got to go, like, the sisters in the orientation class, they paid, Sister Linda and her husband and family paid for me to go to Savior's Day Day. So that was my first time outside of Baltimore. So they treated me. I was only in orientation, but they loved me enough to treat me because they knew that they saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. So here I am in Detroit, 1990, and I'm like, wow, these Muslims are all over the place. So that was exciting. But in honest truth, I was excited to hear the minister because my brother had pumped me up with the minister, and that's all they talked about. But it was the sisters that really wrote me in. And it was that MGT class, that
Mm-hmm.
joint MGT class where they made everybody fall in for drill. And I was like, but I'm only in orientation. I don't know how to drill. And they was like, sister, fall in for drill. And it was so exciting that I wanted to do that. Like they were all in there brown and I knew I wanted to do that. Like I caught on so quickly, like it was intoxicating. I was like, okay, I don't need to party. I got drill. Like I can do this. They got steps, they got movements. Like this is line dancing for cars. Like it felt like line dancing, honestly.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
it was amazing. Like that's what pushed me to make me want to actually recite and take it a lot more seriously. And when I came back, I wrote my letter and I recited, and that I recited on a Friday, and that Saturday they were like, all right, we're going to DC for Vanguard class, and your mom was actually teaching Vanguard class because Baltimore's class was so small that we would travel to DC and join the training with the sisters in DC. So
Mm,
we would have joint class. And your mom was so amazing. And the sisters and the energy, like they didn't treat me like, oh, this is a new sister. She just came out of process and she only recited yesterday. No, they made me feel like I knew something and I needed to hurry up and learn it. Like all those lessons, all those teachings, everything that we needed to know. Like they would have me drilling it in the car as we drove from Baltimore to DC to get this information because they knew I was hungry for it. And they didn't shield me from anything. Like it was exciting for them, I guess, to see such a young person to come in and really take hold and not use her baby as an excuse for why I can't soldier. Like I love soldiering. Like all the teachings, all the sisters, Sister Captain, Mashallah, she used to be Sister Sheila. She was our MGT captain then, Sister Sherry, Sister Captain Leslie then became our captain. Like, and we had many of the Vanguard who were our Vanguard captains once we became established as a class and could be trusted with such a prestigious post. Um, yeah, it's too many to like, I don't want to forget anybody's names, but your mom was definitely instrumental in my development as a Vanguard because I didn't even have the chance to matriculate as a quote unquote just only an MGT. No, I went straight from orientation, which was held often in the sister's home, to Vanguard class, which was in DC. So it was real fast paced.
praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Speaking of drilling, my siblings and I, we all came up watching drill tapes. That's just our culture, and we would see you drill. What made you passionate about drill all those years and just wanting to drill? Like, what? You explain that to us. Your love for drill.
Yeah, it was my first Savior's Day as an orientation person. And just seeing one person make a command and everybody moving, like it was like a concert with your feet in your head. Like it was just so exciting and being able to like be creative. Like I'm a creative person. And so I love the intricacy of the moves and to see like the different people from the different cities and how everybody had their own way of doing it. And it was just exciting to see that we're doing the same thing, but just a little bit differently. I love the righteous competition. Like I love Savior's Days drill competitions. Like I just love to see what everybody is bringing to the table. Like I love it how everybody brings something different and a new flavor. I just love it. It's the exercise of the gods. It gets you in tune. It helps you to lose some weight if you're really doing it. It helps to bond. It helps to bond you with the people that you're drilling with because you have to be able to hear and you have to be able to follow. Like you can't be a good follower if you're not a good leader. You can't be a good leader if you're not a good follower. Like they go hand in hand. And we would just take turns with different people and what you got and what you got. And let's try this and let's try that. Like it's a big pot of stew. And you can't get fed and full off of a pot of stew that only has one ingredient. So drill brings up all the ingredients, and I just love it. I love getting fed from drill.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Sister, well, first of all, I want to stop for a brief commercial break and say that this podcast is brought to you by my sister Miriam's book, ABC I Love Me, which is on Amazon. My brother Rashad, politically oppressed, and his business partner Jamal with Street Premiere is a video production company. If you all need some video productions done out there. And my second book, which is Cleopatra, which is on Amazon, a children's book. Get it. If you all have a business that you would like me to promote, please let me know. J Imagination on Cash App or DM me or text me. Just let me know. We'll promote your business as well. Back to you, Sister Tracy. Sister Tracy, what was it like the first time you met the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
So my first time meeting him, um, I think it was when we had the ministers' wives dinner that was hosted at one. I can't remember the year, the Savior's Day, but we actually had a ministers' wives meeting dinner at the palace, and that was like really my first time meeting the minister like in person, and it was just exciting and scary all at the same time because you don't feel worthy. Like you read these books, you hear him teach, you see him sacrifice, you know of his family sacrifice, and you never feel like you can measure up to what he's doing. And I know for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but it's so humbling. And you never feel like you look right, you feel right, am I weighing properly? And I know I've been other than myself. Can he read my words? Did he know what I said about the sister last week? Did they know? Like, no, you just start psyching yourself out about, I don't want to get that close to somebody who's gotten so close to the God and not be worthy. Um, so can't remember the year. I'm not like my husband who could tell you exact dates. Oh, it was 5:45 in the morning on June 29th. Like, no, I'm not that good with history.
Yes, ma'am. No, no, it's all good. But Sister Tracy, speaking of your husband, could you please let us know from your standpoint, what is it like being married to a laborer? And for sisters who may be married to laborers or interested in marrying laborers, could you let us know what it's like to be married to a laborer?
Well, first I would say nobody should be seeking to just marry a laborer because we're all laborers under this banner if we know it correctly.
Yes,
I was literally talking to Sister Captain Shanasia in a very transparent moment. Like I prided myself on being a soldier like all my life, like a soldier. 4 months into our marriage, like my husband and I courted at 19, we're married at 20. And at 20, about to be 21, he became the minister of our mosque. So 4 months into our marriage, we got pregnant with my daughter, which made it our second child. It was a struggle because, you get put in these posts, and we were young back then. We just loved these teachings. And it just reminds me of how my brother was when he was just so young, and these teachers that you're willing to sacrifice and give it all. Like we're all supposed to be laborers for this post, but then there are those that are actually assigned to the labor. And it's not easy. And it's a lot of sacrifice that goes into being a laborer. Like I hated the fact that, and hate is a strong word, so I'm using it loosely. But I hated the fact that once I became a minister's wife, it was like I couldn't be a soldier anymore. Like, oh no, you're the minister's wife. No, you don't hold this post because you're the minister's wife. And I hated that because I'm a minister's wife, but I'm about to use a curse word, but like I could still hold check posts. I could still hold all posts. No, I don't want to sit on the front row. Like I don't want to be fluffy. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a soldier. Like I hate that. I don't like that center of attention. Let me sit here because I'm the minister's wife. No, like I hated it with a passion. It made me angry to the point of like tears. Like I don't want to do that. Like I would just bucket. All right, well let me help in the kitchen because I'm not sitting on the front row. Like just ridiculous. Like my third corner temper tantrum moment. Like I hated it. I felt like I was being punished for being a first lady. And I hated that term, first lady. Don't call me Minister Carlos's wife. Call me Sister Tracy. Like I hated it. And I recently did a workshop with our Vanguard here to try to renew their spirit. And during that workshop, it was like Allah just put it on my heart. All these years I've been kicking and screaming about not being able to hold a post, but I've been denying the post that Allah assigned me when he assigned my husband as minister. That is a post. And I've been kicking and screaming and being emotional about why I hold a post, but I've been refusing subconsciously the post that I was assigned. That's a mighty post. And so if you're not ready to wrangle and make sacrifices, what are you going out look at? I want to be married to a laborer. Go sit your behind down some damn where. Like we're all laborers. We're all confined to the labor. And if you understand this way of life, then you will be a lot more cautious in who you're going to seek. Seek law. Be married to Allah first. And that goes to brothers and sisters. Be married to Allah. Because marriage is no cakewalk. Quran says it's half your faith, and most of our marriages are tested because we sit up here being married to other than Allah. Like be married to Allah first and let Allah guide your footsteps. Marriage is no joke. We take it as a joke. We want to get married because we want to have sanctified, good sex and not be unpleasing to Allah. But Allah also hates divorce, and he hates being in relationships that you're not committed to and that you're not faithful to. Like it's a whole lot of what Allah says. We can't be pickers and choosers of what Allah says. Allah says, hold yourself accountable. You don't have to have sex. You could be celibate. Like go sit yourself down somewhere. Learn these teachings. Be married. Have relations to these books. Have relations to these words. Have relations on the post. Like get to know that. Like relate to that. So that was a passionate roundabout way of saying it ain't easy. It's not easy being married to a laborer, but is it worth it? Yes, if your intention is worth it. Like we've been married, inshallah, it'll be 26 years this year.
Praise be
And
to
marriage has its ups and downs, its ebbs and flows, its moments of I love you, but I don't like you right now, and all of that. Like relationships go through that, and moments of I don't understand why you got to be gone so long. Like it just seems like a cakewalk. You know, he gets to travel all the time while I'm home with the children, but it's not easy being away from your family. And I wasn't willing to bend and listen to, or even see and acknowledge the sacrifice that comes in being away and the
Mm,
sleepless nights of preparing and trying to work on the city so that it'll be appropriate for the minister whenever he comes and for his example, because we're all his examples even in his absence.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So no, it's not easy, and people shouldn't be going out talking about I want to find me a laborer. Go find yourself, work
Praise.
on your labor, give birth to your greater self, go on and be pregnant with yourself.
Mm, mm. Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Okay, I just want to read you some of the comments as well. Um, Sister Marquita said drill is a drug. Mimi says a true sisterhood. Sister Latasha says beautiful. Sister, I'm going to butcher the name, Nakaya says beautiful. Brother Dorsey says everyone has history that our nation needs to hear and should hear. Thank you, Brother Josh and Sister Tracy. Thank you, Brother Dorsey. We love you and your family. Sister Mimi says all praise due to Allah. Brother Dorsey says I agree with Sister Tracy. Um, Mainly about the name. I have my name on my own. Sister Shaniqua says, "Come on, sister." And all right, okay, yes, ma'am. What about the? You live in Baltimore, and for people like me who don't visit Baltimore a lot, we may know Baltimore through music or through the television show The Wire. It seems like it's real gritty and hood and like grimy or something like that. Have you ever feared for your life while being in that city? And if so, how did you overcome the fear of just being in Baltimore as trying to strive to be upright to God?
So wherever light is, darkness ceases to exist,
Mm,
right? And so wherever I go, I'm Sister Tracy.
mm,
Whether
mm,
it was like on college campus, whether it's before I accepted Islam, like I've always had a light inside of me. Islam helped to shine and like polish and like help me to acknowledge the fact that I had a light. But wherever you are in your light, when darkness exists, it ceases to exist. So
mm,
wherever I go, I help to change the atmosphere. I don't take myself into places that are ridiculous. And if a place is ridiculous and I have to be there, I'm going at peace, brother, peace, sis. How you doing, queen? How you doing, king? Like I'm gonna help lift your vibrations higher because I know that inside of you is a reflection of myself. So I'm not going around afraid to be around my people. Like one of my passion works is working with the homeless. And
mm,
we in some of the most crazy environments, like dealing with our people. Like people become homeless for a myriad of reasons. And
mm.
that's one of my favorite places to be. Like is around what most people would be afraid to be in. I'm not afraid to be out late at night, even though I know it's not safe. I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm not afraid to be anywhere because Allah is my patron. He's my greatest protector. Now, I'm not going to go out and just put myself in harm's way just being a clown, talking about Allah is my patron and my protector. That he is, but he also said use the best of intelligence.
Yes, ma'am.
So, to answer your question, Baltimore is a beautiful place. The Wire embellished the most darkest parts. Because just as much as it has all of that ridiculousness that every city also has, they're not showing you the people who put their faith in action and who are out here walking hand in hand to make
Mm,
our neighborhoods decent and safe places to live. They're not showing you the support groups and the community mediation groups that are happening throughout all the faith-based programs. They're not showing you the mentors that are inside the schools. They're
mm,
not showing you the smudge and stages. They're not showing you the amazing African dance class or the open mic spots. They're not showing you the creative outlets. They're not showing you any of that. People only want to show you what they want to show you. But there's so much more to Baltimore. It's a beautiful place to be. And I thank Allah for allowing this to be my birthplace.
Praise be to Allah. Sister Tracy, could you let us know the climate of the May Man March during that time period, and what was the city like, and how did you feel about an event like the May Man March?
Oh, we were on fire. Like
Mm,
we were on fire. Our only part that we hated about it was the fact that we couldn't go.
mm,
Like we were ready to have our baby strapped to our back and just be there. Like it was so exciting. Like Baltimore is so close to DC that we didn't have a choice or an opportunity to make up an excuse
mm,
about why we can't do or whatever. No, we ate, slept, drink, mosque, Million Man March, community meetings, all of that. Babies, we nursing at the mosque, we painting at the mosque, we doing letters, we making phone calls. The mosque was our hub center. We making posters, we packing lunches. Like the energy was so intoxicating. We were not allowing any men that we knew to make up an excuse about why they weren't gonna be there. Oh, you's a punk. Oh, you not going to the Million Man March. Oh, you's a punk. Like talk to who? Like you can't talk. No, sir. You need to have your butt at the Million Man March. Talk to me after the Million Man March. People who wanted to be in courtships, yeah, tell me about how your stuff at the Million Man March was. Like that was the talk we were telling the sisters. Ask him to give you the report of what his Million Man March experience was. Because if he's afraid to go and do something for himself, that's not a man you want in your life. So no, we were excited. Like we were packing bean soup, going, go black man, go at the bus stations and rallying them up. And we were like taking out money, paying for people's registration. Like, what you need? What's your excuse today? Oh, let me help eliminate that excuse. Okay, yeah, you need to be there. Okay, this is brother so and so phone number. Call him so you can be there. Here's his pager, because they had pages back then. Page him so he can get to you, so you can get to the bus or the train, so you can get there. So yeah, we weren't accepting any excuses, and no. Today people can make excuses and feel cute about it. Back in the day when we first came in, there was no excuse.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, you didn't have room to make excuses and give reasons for why you're not doing what you say that you came to this work to do.
Excellent.
Joshua, I'm loving this interview. My client is probably in the shop waiting for me.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I apologize, guys. Like, I'm so senior citizen-y. It's like Brother Joshua had to walk me through this whole thing. And I'm like, oh, Brother Joshua, do I have to download this app? And he's like, yes, ma'am, you have to download it. So it's all my fault. Brother Joshua, I would be willing to do a part 2 if necessary. But yes, I thank you for this opportunity. I don't want to just be
for coming on. Yes, ma'am. I thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. So I can answer one more question if need be.
Yes, ma'am. Please give your family greetings and our love, and we thank them. We thank you and your family for you all sacrifice, and we send our love and greetings.
Same here. Please give your family my love, Brother Joshua. Thank you for this opportunity. Sorry for having to go. I'm completely humbled and honored. I didn't realize we were going to be on live because I thought you were just going to do it since this is midday. But yes, you put me on the spot, and I just thank Allah that I got to grow through what I'm going through with this interview. And I pray to Allah that anything I said that wasn't good, that offended anybody, please blame it on my mind and my nerves. But I pray to Allah that y'all got something out of this little humble interview. And Brother Josh, and with my difficulties and my work schedule, it didn't allow you. So my apologies. And please give your family my love. And yeah, and thank your mom. Tell your mom I am forever grateful for her stance, her unwavering faith, and her unwavering example, and all the Vanguard retreats. Yeah, because you need to talk about that. Brothers, y'all missed out on that goodness. But your mom and her team had the most amazing Vanguard retreats that to this day, these new Vanguard, they missed out. So we need to have a Vanguard retreat reunion or something, like something, because like the old Vanguard, we need to resurrect them, like dust off those mustard seeds, because we have so many amazing people who were touched by this beautiful faith and this beautiful class. And as sisters, you know, we are watered so differently, and sometimes pain and now broken relationships inspire us to walk outside of this faith. And there's nothing outside of this faith but death and destruction. And sometimes we try to hold on to the little bit of faith that we have. But as Brother Hawk from Newark, New Jersey did when he spoke at our mosque, he did the example of the mustard seed, and he had them passing it around. And he asked people to hold on to it. And before the bottle of mustard seeds even made it to the back, most people had dropped their faith. That little mustard seed symbolizes faith, and most of us drop it. We put it in our purse, or we put it somewhere trying to hold it for safekeeping, but we lose it. Like only if we have the faith the size of a mustard seed could we say to a mountain, be ye removed. And most of our mountains are our pains, our disappointments, our setbacks, our lazy things, and made other things God besides Allah. The fact that we're not making our prayers like we should, we're not fasting like we should, we're not coming to the mosque, taking these prescriptions of these teachings like we should, we're not bonding like we should, we're not working out like we should, we're not exercising our faith. Like, you'll never know how strong your faith is unless your faith is tested. And most of us, just like when you go to a physical gym, you can't do one day, gonna push up, talk about, woo, I'm cut. No, you won't see the results. That's the same way with our faith. Like trials are only meant to exercise our faith. How do we know we got faith muscles? You
Yes, ma'am.
won't know unless you in the exercise gym. How you gonna be exercised? Trials are our exercise. Lift them damn weights. Lift the damn weights. And if you don't feel strong enough, surround yourself with people who are strong, but you can't. We can't continue to be around people who are broken and weak and expect to be, be getting strength from them. No, we're gonna only become more weak. I remember years ago, Dr. Leem said, like, if you chart two lines on a board and you take one and you put a dot, just a smidge to the left outside of the direct line, and that dot doesn't go any further to the left, but it stays where it goes, even if that dot stays straight, it drifts further and further away from the straight path, even though it didn't start off going or intending to go far. When you look back, you're gonna be like, damn, how did I even get here? Like, you have to stay on the path, even when it becomes difficult, even when it hurts, even when our mugs are to the rug with tears in our eyes. We have to stay on this path, because none of us are gonna get out of this life without experiencing some kind of pain. And that's why Surah 29 is so important. Like, it's our medicine. If we nurse on that Quran, even with tears in our eyes, and ask Allah to please give us strength, He will. So I thank you, Brother Joshua. I need to go in here and do some locks real quick before my client be like, Chuck the Deeps, I'm finding me a new natural hairstylist, Sister Tracy. I love your spirit and all, but I'm gone. So I need to make these coins, Brother Joshua. I love you guys. Thank you all for your energy, and may Allah continue to bless you all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.